Hi, folks. This is Dr. Carter. I hope you're doing well. I thought I would send you a special treat and read a little bit from the Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian for you. I might post several of these. I thought I would start today right where we left off after Mr. P had told Arnold that he needed to get out of the res. And the next chapter, of course, over on page 44, 45, is where Arnold is thinking about that. This is go means go. After Mr. P left, I sat on the porch for a long time and thought about my life. What the heck was I supposed to do? I felt like life had just knocked me on my ass. I was so happy when Mom and Dad got home from work. Hey, little man, Dad said. Hey, Dad, Mom. Junior, why are you looking so sad? Mom asked. She knew stuff. I didn't know how to start, so I just started with the biggest question. Who has the most hope? I asked. Mom and Dad looked at each other. They studied each other's eyes, like they had antennas and were sending radio signals to each other. And then they both looked back at me. Come on, I said. Who has the most hope? White people, my parents said at the same time. That's exactly what I thought they were going to say. So I said the most surprising thing they'd ever heard from me. I want to transfer schools, I said. You want to go to Hunter's? Mom said. It's another school on the west end of the reservation, filled with poor Indians and poor white kids. Yes, there is a place in the world where the white people are poorer than the Indians. No, I said. You want to go to Springdale? Dad asked. It's a school on the reservation border filled with the poorest Indians and poorer than poorest white kids. Yes, there is a place in the world where the white people are even poorer than you ever thought possible. So let's stop here and consider that sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that we've been talking about. Neither one of his parents even entertained the notion that he's thinking about going to Reardon, which is the best school in the area. They think he wants to go to a different school that is either the same or maybe a little worse than the one that he's in. All right. So in terms of what they think is possible, they haven't even thought about Reardon, or have they? I want to go to Reardon, I said. Reardon is the rich white farm town that sits in the wheat fields exactly 22 miles from the res. And it's a hick town, I suppose, filled with farmers and rednecks and racist cops who stop every Indian that drives through. During one week when I was little, Dad got stopped there 3 times for DWI, driving while Indian. But Reardon has one of the best small schools in the state, with a computer room and huge chemistry lab and a drama club and 2 basketball gyms. The kids in Reardon are the smartest and most athletic kids anywhere. They are the best. Now, remember, we have a little bit of an unreliable narrator here. When we are told that this is the absolutely true diary, we are supposed to keep in mind that, well, it is from a certain point of view. But in Arnold's mind, these kids are the best. I want to go to Reardon, I said again. I couldn't believe I was saying it. For me, it seemed as real as saying, I want to fly to the moon. Are you sure? My parents asked. Yes, I said. When do you want to go? My parents asked. Right now, I said, tomorrow. Are you sure? My parents asked. You couldn't maybe wait until the semester break or until next year, get a fresh start? No, if I don't go now, I never will. I have to do it now. Okay, they said. Yep, it was that easy with my parents. It was almost like they'd been waiting for me to ask them if I could go to Reardon, like they were psychics or something. Makes you wonder if maybe Mr. P got a hold of the parents before he got a hold of Arnold, but we'll never know. I mean, they've always known that I'm weird and ambitious, so maybe they expect me to do the weirdest things possible. And going to Reardon is truly a strange idea, but it isn't weird that my parents so quickly agreed with my plans. They want a better life for me and my sister. My sister is running away to get lost, but I am running away because I want to find something, which is interesting use of terms, running away. We often say that you can't run away from your problems no matter where you go, there they are. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Of course, you're probably ahead in the book than this, so you probably already know. And my parents love me so much that they want to help me. Yeah, dad is a drunk and mom is an ex-drunk, but they don't want their kids to be drunks. It's going to be hard to get you to Reardon, Dad said. We can't afford to move there, and there ain't no school bus going to come out there or come out here. Then his mother tells him something that shows their level of support, but is also sort of a kind warning to him. You'll be the first one to ever leave the res this way, Mom said. The Indians around here are going to be angry with you. Shoot, I figure that my fellow tribal members are going to torture me. Speaking of which, now we know that he wants to go to Reardon, and the mother says that people are not going to like that. What do we think his best friend in the world is going to think about it? Well, that's what happens in the next chapter, which is called Rowdy Sings the Blues. Now, the blues are considered a sad sort of music. So, do we think that Rowdy is going to be happy about this? Let's see. So, the day after I decided to transfer to Reardon, and after my parents agreed to make it happen, I walked over to the tribal school and found Rowdy sitting in his usual place on the playground. He was alone, of course. Everybody was scared of him. Thought you were on suspension, Dickwad, he said, which was Rowdy's way of saying, I'm happy to see you. Kiss my ass, I said. I wanted to tell him that he was my best friend and I loved him like crazy, but boys didn't say such things to other boys, and nobody said such things to Rowdy. So, two things here. Rowdy probably wouldn't know how to handle such positive reinforcement. Further, they're both teenage boys. They're very worried about that whole no homo thing. All right. And so it can sometimes still be very difficult to show affection if you're a male towards another male without someone thinking that it's a bromance or a homoerotic experience. And they're very aware of that in this novel. All right. This idea that there's supposed to be sort of a distancing when it comes to a male saying, I love you. Now, obviously, this is sort of like a brotherly love, right? And Arnold, being a little bit more sensitive and or in tune with his emotions, we might say, really wants to tell Rowdy this, but he knows that Rowdy wouldn't know how to handle it. And the truth is, Arnold hardly knows how to handle these emotions as well. I'm reading the chapter. You mind if I finish? No. Okay, cool. So this is Rowdy Sings the Blues. Can I tell you a secret? I asked. It better not be girly, he said. It's not. Okay, then tell me. I'm transferring to Reardon. Rowdy's eyes narrowed. His eyes always narrowed right before he beat the crap out of someone. I started shaking. That's not funny, he said. It's not supposed to be funny, I said. I'm transferring to Reardon, and I want you to come with me. And when are you going on this imaginary journey? So again, this notion that it's not even a possibility. It's not imaginary, it's real. And I'm transferring now. I start school tomorrow at Reardon. You better quit saying that, he said. You're getting me mad. I didn't want to get him mad. When Rowdy got mad, it took him days to get unmad. But he was my best friend, and I wanted him to know the truth. I'm not trying to get you mad, I said. I'm telling the truth. I'm leaving the res, man, and I want you to come with me. Come on, it'll be an adventure. I don't even drive through that town, he said. What makes you think I want to go to school there? He got up, stared me hard in the eyes, and then spit on the floor. Last year, during 8th grade, we traveled to Reardon to play them in flag football. Rowdy was our star quarterback and kicker and middle linebacker, and I was the loser water boy. And we lost to Reardon by the score of 45-0. Of course, losing isn't exactly fun. Nobody wants to be a loser. We all got really mad and vowed to kick their asses the next game. But 2 weeks after that, Reardon came to the res and beat us 56-10. So there is this Reardon Welpinett rivalry, all right? So there's that sort of thing going on, as well as it being different socioeconomic statuses, different populations. During basketball season, Reardon beat us 72-45 and 86-50, our only two losses of the season. So keep that in mind. They both have really good basketball teams. Rowdy scored 24 points in the first game and 40 in the second. I scored 9 points in each game, going 3 for 10 on the three-pointers in the first game and 3 for 15 in the second. Those were my two worst games of the season. Again, think about that self-fulfilling prophecy and what he has said about the quote-unquote white school. When you think someone is better than you, are you always going to give your best against them, or do they get in your head? And do you let them in your head? During baseball season, Rowdy hit 3 home runs in the first game against Reardon and 2 home runs in the second, but we still lost by scores of 17-3 and 12-2. I played in both losses and struck out 7 times and was hit by a pitch once. So keep this in mind as well in terms of him being an unreliable narrator. He's talked about how gangly his body is and how uncoordinated he is, but he's still on the athletic teams, and generally you have to make those teams, right? So is that another instance of the absolutely true diary maybe not being quite as accurate as the person who's sharing the story? Of course, again, it's from not Rowdy, but Arnold's point of view, from Junior's point of view. So we see things, we see reality as he sees it, not necessarily as it actually is. And that's what makes a narrator an unreliable narrator. Sad thing is, getting hit like that was my only hit of the season. So he says, I played in both losses and struck out 7 times and was hit by a pitch once. After baseball season, I led the Welpinett Junior High Academic Bowl team against Reardon Junior High, and we lost by a grand total of 50-1. Yep, we answered one question correctly. I was the only kid, white or Indian, who knew that Charles Dickens wrote A Tale of Two Cities, which is an interesting and symbolic choice because part of that says it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, and it really is about different class distinctions, which we're also seeing in this novel. And let me tell you, we Indians were the worst of times, and those Reardon kids were the best of times. Those kids were magnificent. They knew everything. They were beautiful. They were beautiful and smart. They were beautiful and smart and epic. They were filled with hope. I don't know if hope is white, but I do know that hope to me is like some mythical creature. And then we have the white clouds and unicorn. Man, I was scared of those Reardon kids, and maybe I was scared of hope too. But Rowdy absolutely hated all of it. Rowdy, I said, I'm going to Reardon tomorrow. For the first time, he saw that I was serious, but he didn't want me to be serious. You'll never do it, he said. You're too scared. Now imagine how scared Rowdy must be. I'm going, I said. No way, you're a wuss. I'm doing it. You're a pussy. I'm going to Reardon tomorrow. You're really serious? Rowdy, I said, I'm as serious as a tumor. He coughed and turned away from me. I touched his shoulder. Why did I touch his shoulder? I don't know. I was stupid. Rowdy spun around and shoved me. So it was just too much for Rowdy, too much emotional resonance, both in terms of his mental state, but also being physically touched. It was just too much for him.
Will y'all email me what your asset number is on your laptop?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have an email for now?
Rowdy spun around and shoved me. Don't touch me, you retard.
Will you email what his is?
I'll do what I can. All right.
Did they issue a laptop? I'm going to have to have you email it to me because I will never remember it out of high school.
Okay.
Won't do it. So whenever he emails his, just put his name on the email that he's got that laptop.
Okay. Well, I can do that. Thank you. My heart broke into 14 pieces, one for each year that Rowdy and I had been best friends. I started crying. That wasn't surprising at all, but Rowdy started crying too, and he hated that. He wiped his eyes, stared at his wet hand, and screamed. I'm sure that everybody on the res heard that scream. It was the worst thing I'd ever heard. So Rowdy knows that he's not going to be able to go. He doesn't want to go. He also knows that he's losing a good friend. Rowdy, I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry. He kept screaming. You can still come with me, I said. You're still my best friend. Rowdy stopped screaming with his mouth, but he kept screaming with his eyes. You always thought you were better than me, he yelled. No, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I think I'm worse than everybody else. Why are you leaving? I have to go. I'm going to die if I don't leave. I touched his shoulder again and Rowdy flinched. Yes, I touched him again. What kind of idiot was I? I was the kind of idiot that got punched hard in the face by his best friend. Bang, Rowdy punched me. Bang, I hit the ground. Bang, my nose bled like a firework. I stayed on the ground for a long time after Rowdy walked away. I stupidly hoped that time would stand still if I stayed still. But I had to stand eventually, and when I did, I knew that my best friend had become my worst enemy. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry for the interruptions. I'll see what I can do about that if I post more of these. Of course, you should be further along in the book. I'm not going to read the book straight out, but I might pick different selections here and there, and you're welcome to watch them or not. Hopefully this will be up soon, and I'll give you more later. Hope you're doing well. Bye-bye.